Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Gerald Vizenor once said, "We imagine ourselves, we create ourselves, we touch ourselves into being with words, words that are important to us." Minister, the Honorable Wayne Parent-Chief, JP MP, Deputy Speaker of the House, Dame Jennifer Smith, Professor Mervyn Morris, the distinguished guests of honor this afternoon, the poets, my colleagues, Mrs. Tannock, Dr. Kim Dismont-Robinson. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This afternoon is an especially important occasion for those of us at the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. We, the Bermuda government, finally can say it is celebrating the literary arts through the production of this anthology of poetry written by Bermudian poets. We are very proud of this work. We're very pleased to have you here for the launching of this anthology, and we are especially excited to see the arts, especially in literature, burgeoning as it is. We owe a special debt of gratitude to our Folklife Officer, Dr. Kim Dismont-Robinson, whose baby this is. I know that you all know Dr. Kim, but she needed to stand so that we could all greet her and give her the applause that is due. This is a project that has been very dear to her heart, and she has worked tirelessly, enthusiastically, and with much professionalism to see it to its completion. So thank you, Dr. Kim. On behalf of the minister, our minister, the Honorable Wayne Parent-Chief, I wish to welcome all of you here. Thank you for your presence. We are particularly pleased to have Professor Morris here with us. He is the distinguished editor of this anthology. He's a very gracious gentleman scholar. Thank you, Professor Morris, for your work. And to our distinguished guests of honor, you, the poets, we thank you for your interest. We thank and applaud you for your submissions, and we applaud you also for the hard work that you put into making this the first poetry anthology produced by the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs on behalf of the Bermuda government. To the distinguished poets, well done. Thank you. And now we will have opening remarks from our minister, the Honorable Wayne Parent-Chief. Minister, please come forward.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the launch of the Bermuda Anthology of Poetry. This is a momentous occasion for several reasons, and I'm pleased you're here to help us celebrate this significant milestone in Bermudian literature. I did meet Dr. Morris about a year ago, personally, when I was the acting Minister of Community and Cultural Affairs, never recognizing or realizing that I would have this opportunity to become the substantive Minister of Community and Cultural Affairs and welcome him back to Bermuda. The ruck of 34 poets was chosen for this anthology. The poets themselves are a very diverse group of people representing every facet of Bermudian society. In this book, you will find a range of human emotion, and you'll also find much of what makes Bermuda beautiful and unique, our landscapes and our people. And as this book represents an effort to showcase and highlight the work of Bermuda's creative writers, I will allow the fine writings contained in this book to speak for itself. I would, however, like to acknowledge the contributions of a few key people who helped to make this publication a reality. I'm extremely grateful for the expertise of Professor Mervyn Morris, who served as the editor of our anthology. Not only did he have the difficult task of choosing the strongest 84 poems from almost 400 submissions, but our folk-life officer also tells me that he continued to assist with the project with excellent advice and editing long after he was obliged to do so. Thus, we have invited Professor Morris back to the island for this launch to thank him for all that he has done for us. Mrs. Heather Whalen, Senior Community and Cultural Affairs Officer, who has lent a great deal of support to this project. We wish to thank her to ensure the success of the workshops. Professor Morris's visit and the final publication resulting in a high-quality book of which we can all be proud. I want to thank you, Mrs. Whalen. Special thanks to Dr. Kim Dismount Robinson, Folklife Officer for the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, who has done an excellent job spearheading this project. Dr. Dismount Robinson provided much of the conceptual framework for the book and organized the many details of the workshops and this launch. She has also lent her writing talents to the book by providing the introduction, and in addition, several of her poems were selected by Professor Morris for inclusion in the anthology. Ms. Jackie Aubrey of the Department of Communication and Information went above and beyond the call of duty with the time and attention that she gave to the design and layout of the anthology. It is thanks to her that this collection of poems has been so attractively packaged. Not only do we have the work of creative writers in this anthology, but we also have the talent of fine artists. Ms. Gitt Brandenburg's photograph of a Bermudian onion appears on the cover, and Mr. Vaughan Evans, Mr. Edwin Smith, and Mr. Antoine Cavarec's wonderful black and white artwork appears throughout this book. Thanks to Mr. Ronald Lightman, I'm calling him Ron, who gave the pre-submission workshop and also assisted in making Professor Morris, his friend and former instructor, comfortable. He made him comfortable during his stay in Bermuda. Finally, I'd also like to thank my colleague, Minister Dale Butler, for the assistance he provided on this project as a former Minister of Community Affairs and Sport, and of course, Cultural Affairs. This Bermuda Anthology of Poetry showcases the talent of Bermuda's poets, local artists, internationally recognized experts, and dedicated members of the civil service. So please join me in congratulating those who have made this publication a reality. And now let's turn our attention to the poets, who will give us a preview of some of the wonderful writings of this collection.
In between the minister and the poets, I simply want to say thanks very much to those who made it possible for me to be here to join in this launch of the anthology. I also want to thank in particular people who asked me to undertake the task initially. As was mentioned, my friend Ronald Lightman, who phoned me unaccountably after many years, and the follow-up that made it possible for me to come here earlier this year. It was a pleasure working with Kim Dismont Robinson. We exchanged emails almost as though I hadn't left the island. And they were all emails I was very glad to receive, because we're engaged in very much the same concerns, trying to make sure that the anthology came out as satisfactorily as we could make it. And one of the key people in that process was the designer who, I can tell you quietly, saved us from the possibility of a design that we wouldn't have liked quite so much. I haven't met her, but I'd very much like to thank Jackie Aubrey, because I think she was a very important person in the whole final production. I'd like to thank the minister for having said yes when he was asked if I could be brought back for the launch. And I'd like to thank Dame Jennifer Smith for gracing us with her presence. And now finally, just a word or two about the book itself, or the people who have contributed to what we see in the book. I was very, very pleased when I first saw the artwork. I had nothing at all to do with that. Kim shared it with me at the stage when there was a mock-up. And I think the artwork greatly enhances the production by breaking up some of the print, and also by being attractive in itself. And you'll notice when you read Dismont Robinson's introduction that one of the art pieces is of special significance because she used it as a central metaphor for Bermudan literature. It's the mangroves, you know, the possibility of returning to roots. To the poets, I say again that it was a pleasure reading through the material. I was sorry that some people and some poems didn't make it, but I was very happy with everything that I read, and very happy that some of you were included. I want to suggest that one of the key things for poets is to share their work and talk about their work with other people who are also trying to write. I have learned with great delight that since the call for submissions and the workshops and so on, there are a few of you who have begun exchanging responses to each other's poems. And I think this is a very, very important thing if a community of writers is to develop. Not that the writers, having heard each other, pay much attention, but it nevertheless is a very important reinforcing activity. And sometimes someone who has read something before you offered it for publication you'll be grateful to them for having saved you from something that you really would not like to put out. There were, when I came for the workshops, a number of people who had been writing for a while and who seemed not to have been sharing their work apart from sending them off for publication. And I think that it's a pity to do that, because it's better to get some of the feedback before you expose the work. So I thank you all very much, and thank Bermuda for its very kind hospitality on what is now 2 occasions. And thank you very much for having me here, and I'm looking forward greatly to hearing the voices of some of the people I have been reading.
Thank you all very much for coming today, and I have the very enjoyable task of introducing our poets. We have readings from 8 poets whose work appears in the anthology. And the first poet that's going to read is Wendy Fulton Staginski, who was good enough to actually return to Bermuda from abroad for the launch. So we very much appreciate her presence here. She is going to read How to Eat a Candy Violet, Sweet Recollections of Bermuda, and Whither the Fates Lead, My Bermuda Love Song. Please welcome Wendy Stiginski.
Much fun it has been to work, especially with Kim, and to work with Mervyn in the workshop that he had this summer. And it was really a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm just delighted to be back. These are my roots. So for me, it's returning home. How to Eat a Violet Candy, Sweet Recollections of Bermuda. Roll it, suck it, savor the sticky scent of this square violet candy till you are flooded to your toes with the blinding fragrance of a frangipani flower. Nectar from its off-white, gauze-like trumpets dripping down your throat. Innocent reminders of my Bermuda childhood. Thank you. Whither the Fates Lead, my Bermuda love song. My eyes are turquoise, farmed from striated seas. My breasts lie smooth as sea glass. My salt-baked back a rod, grafted from a swaying palm. Frangipani flower from my fingertips. My legs are hewn from ashen trunks of poinciana trees. The roots, my toes, splayed in rich red loam. I am an island child, fed on the whispers of tropical winds. I sleep in a seashell with azure skies. At dawn I rise, Botticellian from emerald sea foam. I surrender to the water's rhythms and go, quo fata furunt. Thank you.
You probably know Tony Robinson's wonderful singing voice. We are today going to have the opportunity to enjoy one of her other talents. She is going to read two poems, Let Them, and the second one is Untitled.
This is really exciting for me. I'm going to go home to my daughter and just hold this up. Mommy's poem is in here. And she'll look at me and say, like, that's great, Mother. Let them. Let them exterminate. The last whale, its ghostly song lost forever. The last eagle, never more in the heavens to soar. The last elephant, majestic lord of the African plains. The last wolf, no more to run and sing with the pack. Let them destroy. The last rainforest, cures for the world's ills, burned and ripped from the earth for gain in the name of mammon. The last lake, stagnant and foul, the call of the loon silenced. The last ocean, its children, the frolicsome dolphins, their playground gone, never to be the same. Let them darken the skies with the polluting smoke. Let them foul the air with noxious fumes. Let them strip the earth of all her treasures, leaving her naked and barren. Let them silence the songs of the birds and erase the colors the flowers have worn. Let them kill all the people who have fought to keep the others from destroying their world out of greed, carelessness, and just plain indifference. And finally, in the wasteland they created, let them live and never die. Thank you. Untitled. The wildness inside, confined by walls of primness, respectability, until freed by a kindred spirit whirling upward and outward, thoughts of the mundane shaken off, not delicately as a cat ridding its paws of water, but violently like a dog shaking the ocean from its coat. Thank you.
We are very lucky this afternoon to have two of my dear friends reading. Many of you may not know Shirley Amalgro, but she is actually the youngest poet in our anthology and a very talented young woman. She has written 2 poems, one entitled Mirate and the other Atrapada. And although the translation of her 2 poems, her poems are originally written in Spanish, and the translation was written by Dr. Michael Jilks. He unfortunately isn't able to join us today, but we're very lucky to have Shirley's stepfather, who you all know very well, Ron Lightbourne, who will read the translations on Dr. Jilks' behalf. So please welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna read 2 of my poems. I'm gonna read in Spanish because for all those who don't know me, I'm Cuban, and yeah, I grew up in Spanish, and my father, Ronald Lightbourne, he's gonna read the translations. The first one is called Mírate, that means look inside, and I wrote it for women who think they are not beautiful, to look inside themselves and find their beauty. Mírate, para ser bella habrá más tiempo, ahora que no eres califa, que la pobreza te come las uñas, mírate por dentro y lúcete. Para ser ninfa habrá más cuentos, ahora que no eres bella, que no llevas collar de perlas, mírate en el espejo y conócete. Para ser santa habrá más sueños, ahora que no eres ninfa, que la inmortalidad te ha abandonado, mírate los ojos y descansa.
This is the first of 2 wonderful translations by my good friend Dr. Michael Jilks. Look, in order to be beautiful, you will need more time, since you are no caliph's consort, and poverty has bitten your nails to the quick. Look inside yourself and shine. In order to be a nymph, more fables must be told, since you are not a fabled beauty, and wear no fabled necklace of pearls. Look in the mirror to find the gold. In order to be a saint, dreams must be the test, since now you are no nymph, and immortality has passed you by. Look in your own eyes, and in them rest.
The second one is called Atrapada, it means trapped. Mi libertad está tras los barrotes de una jaula, prisionera de la apariencia, de lo correcto. Junto a ella mis versos prohibidos que no han de posarse en oídos de cristal. Mi libertad está clausurada en una caja de objetos frágiles, atada al deber y a la espera. A su lado, mis deseos profanos que no he de revelar jamás. Thank you.
Trapped. My freedom is kept behind the bars of a jail, a prisoner of appearances, prone to politeness. Alongside it lie my prohibited verses, which must not alight in the ears of fragile vases. My freedom is hidden, closeted, kept in a box, tied up with duty, hope, and other strings, and clearly labeled fragile things. Alongside it lie my profane desires, never to be revealed to anyone else's eyes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next poet, Crystal Mackenzie, is someone who I've known for many years, all the way back to the days of Flow Sunday, I think, and throughout all the different incarnations of the poetry scene here in Bermuda, her talents have always been a very welcome presence. She will be reading Scattered Thoughts and Tea.
I'm a poet, I do know it. I wrote Scattered Thoughts for my husband when he first came to Bermuda because he didn't like it at first, and I was trying to visualize our love here. Scattered Thoughts. I wish for the smell of your neck in the morning, identifying our world where we pulsate inside the warmth. Attraction to your dark skin like albino moths, bumping against your conscience repeatedly until you let me in to where you shine. Your tongue to frazzle new atmospheres inside my head, and for rain to drip off palmetto leaves onto our skin. Meals of crackers and wine as if we are taking communion for more than mere survival. Butterfly breaths that flutter by secret places, and again for your neck in the morning. And T, I wrote for guys that piss me off who think I like them just because I'm polite. T, why is it that I am only useful when you are in hot water, like I am your healer when you get a head cold? Originally, I unfolded my petals to please the eye, not your insides. Plucked because I was chamomile or red raspberry, maybe if I was daisy, you would have left me alone. All I wanted to do was grow, not float in some small square, a cup, just my luck. I had to be a flavor you liked. Thank you.
Our next poet, Elizabeth Gray, is someone who I'm actually just meeting for the first time through this anthology, but we're very pleased to have her work, and I know that she's been writing for quite some time, so please enjoy.
Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. I wrote this years ago when I first came to Bermuda, and I used to walk all the way over to Horseshoe Bay and swim there, and there was nobody else on the beach but me. Free the limbs and run away, hear the calling of the sea, wallow in the salty spray that makes a secret world for me. Secret world of long-billed seabird, sandpipers with busy tread, petrified remains of driftwood, white as bone and long since dead. Waves of fury lash the shoreline, leaving in their angry wake strands of seaweed etched in umber, delicate as hand-loomed lace. Rock of ages, green as grottos, pitted with the sands of time, twisting from the earth's beginnings, fantasy in every line. Lovely sky of blue and silver, light of lights upon the sea, sun and sand and crash of thunder make a secret world for me. And this was written on board ship when we thought we'd seen mermaids. It's called The Rapture of the Deep. Behold, the dancing sun has thrown a path of gold across the sea and beckons to the sweet unknown, calling, calling constantly. Don't answer, even in your sleep. Beware the rapture of the deep. Transformed and spellbound, here I gaze and feel the pull inside of me. What lovely thoughts of endless days floating in that crystal sea. Don't answer, even in your sleep. Beware the rapture of the deep. And when the sirens, sweet and fair, call softly from a distant wave and wind their fingers through your hair and lure you to a watery grave, don't answer, even in your sleep. Beware the rapture of the deep.
Dear friend Alan Smith, I think the introduction it would have to either be very short or extremely long. So we'll go for short and say, the brother of my spirit and a blazing talent. Please welcome.
Does everyone hear me? I didn't hear everybody. Okay, cool. I'm going to do first a poem called Another Life, and it was inspired by the redbird. Redbird, good luck. Redbird, good luck. Traditional Bermudian saying. A tweeter, tweet, 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 tweeting. A twitter in red flashes between the bleeding cherry trees. Flitting wings whisper overhead, overheard, beating thunder in kitty ears, drive a cat batty, pawing aimlessly at air, reaching for swiftly fleeing possibility. He feigns disinterest as his prey looks still, flying to light, fleeting on the grass over on the other side lawn. He only pretends lethargy, yawning widely, plush, deep, pink, as he commands all of his muscles to prepare to tighten, imperceptible for the pounce and the bounce, the swipe at the unlucky, lucky fowl, and the takeoff of fly. He connects, and crimson feathers fly away, float away, scatter into the bush and hush of rosy dawn. He bites and crunches, tears and pulls, devours all but bone and feather. He licks his red-bird-colored paws back, black, white, and orange, and belches luck into the rise of sun. Another life shrewdly and surely secured. One life more to the 9 of this kitty. When luck flies your way, you gotta nab it. See? The next poem is called Black Pearls, and it sort of was inspired by, my brothers. The song, He's Not Heavy, He's My Brother, and my brothers, who I see on the street, who are always asking me for money so they can do crack. And, I'll give you the money, but, let me buy you the food. I don't want to, see you doing crack in the corners afterwards. Anyway, another life. I've been carrying other brothers on my shoulders, wrapped around my front, dangling fruit near my mouth. But I don't want to buy, and I don't care to taste it anyway. He's not my brother, he's heavy. And why can't he see that he will never be able to lift up me? With my Christian upbringing, I'm still singing hymns. I'm still singing hymns to him. I'm still singing hymns as he walks in my head. He doesn't care if I'm alive or if I'm dead, doesn't approve of the way that I make my bed. Yet he'll gladly cross over, caught in the crossfire of greed, lust, and desire, to make my snakeskin bleed. Queens, presidents, long tails, and eagles, so he can fly. He has the right, he thinks, to what is mine. So he steals my black pearls to feed his inner swine. And still I cry for the thief as he's chewing on my jewels and breaking his teeth. And I ask him, what are you gonna do when I am just like you, living bedpost to bedpost and screw to screw? And I ask myself, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be heavy, heavy? No one's brother, legs wrapped around another who's holding me up. Because we all become what we eat one day. Because we all become what we eat one day. Because we all become what we eat. One sad and fateful day. Thank you.
Last but not least, I'd like to invite Arthur De Silva to read his very entertaining Ladder to the Adada, a perfect finale for a wonderful anthology.
Well, I too would like to express my absolute delight working with Kim and Mervyn. I've been in each of their company only a matter of hours, but it's certainly enough to know that I identify with who they are, and I'd like to have the opportunity to spend more time. I'm not reading from the book because the print's too small. One of the other peculiarities about people of my generation is that not just that our eyesight is on the wane, but we remember characters. We call them street people now, but when I was younger, they were just parochial characters. And the poem I've written is really about a composite which I generated in my mind throughout my life. and I hope you enjoy it. Now, let me tell you, all you lot, about this boy I knew. He could teach us, all we lot, about a thing or two. Bungie was his name, that's right, just like them big glass alleys. I met him when I used to spend my weekends to Aunt Sally's. Bungie had a push bike, and he rode it everywhere he went. The wheels was kind of rusty, and the handlebars was bent. The seat was all like shaky, and the brakes would always squeak. The front tire had a puncture, and the back one had a leak. Well, Bungie was a fixture of the local culture years on end. He stayed in flats, but he would ride to Somerset and back again. He rode that bloody bicycle down North Shore and all through town, and if you got stuck behind him, he really slowed you down. At cup match time, no one knew which team he liked, and that's a fact, because blue and blue was tied up front, and blue and red was on the back. He didn't care which side beat, as long as there weren't no draw. He didn't have no favorites. See, yeah, Bungie liked them all. And I ain't sure if he was black or white or Portuguese. He was actually kind of yellow, especially around the knees. His mama came from Bailey's Bay, and his daddy, well, I ain't sure, from up the country, I believe. But nobody wants to say no more. He never went to school, I'm told, but he was smart. Oh yeah, that boy could read and write and do his sums. He was sharp, I tell no lie. And every country on the globe, he knew exactly where it was. They tell me that before he died, he even took a computer course. But now I'm getting off the track, because what I really want to say is how we lot could learn from him if we could just see things his way. He didn't spend his life like we do, chasing all this stuff. He didn't worry before that. Just what he had. That was enough. He didn't step on people's toes. This dog-eat-dog stuff weren't his thing. He treated people with respect. Respect, he knew, respect would bring. And yeah, I suppose he also knew that life weren't always fair. But he still played by all the rules. Yep, that's the way he were. And if he had some candies, or loquats, or cherries, or coconut cakes, he shared it with everybody, not just with his mates. Now, if you stop and think, and you're really honest with yourself, you would see that my mate Bungie had a different kind of wealth. In fact, I believe he was the kind of man we're all supposed to be. Yeah, check it out, read some books. I'm sure you'll all agree with me that this is what it's all about, the Bible and Quran, and Jews and Buddhists, Hindus too. Spread word on every land. That brotherhood and love and peace is what it's all about. But somehow we all got it wrong. We all got it inside out. We're chasing all these bloody things that we don't even need. Instead of taking time to love, we spend it all on greed.
Well, that is our program for this afternoon. This was just a sample of the many wonderful poems and poets that are featured in this book. So I do hope that you all will enjoy it. And what I would like to do is to invite all of the poets who appear in this book to please come down to the front to be acknowledged.